welcome to Up Close with Carlos Sang, celebrating art, entertainment, and the human spirit. Welcome to another episode of Up Close with Carlos Sang. I am so excited to be able to introduce my next guest. She is one of my favourite sopranos on the West End right now. She's currently starring in the Bridge Theatre's new production of Guys and Dolls. And I'm so excited to be able to introduce the one and only Celinde Schoenmaker. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome. I'm happy to be here.
So Guys and Dolls is such a well-loved show and has really stood the test of time. Why do you think this show has lasted so well and continues to draw an audience?
I think it's just, I mean, everyone says this who does this, that it's the perfect musical, but it really is because the songs drive the story. The book is amazing. The scenes are incredible. It's funny. It's heartbreaking. Everything is kind of in it. So the material's all there. I've always loved the show. It's just how Nick has done it now is
Mm.
made it. I mean, you have seen it. It's made it completely new. Um, we found bits in the show that I don't even remember that they were in there. And I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. But the way Nick kind of highlighted it made it a whole new scene. So, it's the perfect musical with the perfect director at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Sarah Brown is also such a vivid character. She's so passionate and goes on this amazing, journey throughout the show. Was there
Yeah.
anything about Sarah which, you were able to identify within yourself as well?
Well, I've seen the show a few times before, and I've always been very drawn to her because of her arc, because
Mm.
she really changes throughout the show. And Nick and I had a conversation right before I actually did the job, and he said, I really want to make her more knowing. And in the book as well, her dad and I think her brother are gamblers. So it's not like she doesn't know what's going on. She's not as, our Sarah Brown is not as naive as maybe you've seen before. So that's what we've really worked on. And with that, I really found my own version of her, which was really important to us to find, and for everyone, for all the characters in the show are reinvented. Yeah, and so I would say I've always been drawn to her, but this Sarah Brown is really someone I connect with. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Nick, Sir Nicholas Hytner, he is one of my favorite directors. He's got the most incredible body of work, and perhaps isn't
So
best known for doing musicals. Yeah, what was it like, working with him on this production, and why do you think he is so well renowned in the industry?
it was mad because I respect him so much. So you're just trying to get everything, whenever he's telling us anything or any sometimes a story will come out of him and you're like, what are you even saying? Just really incredible. And the thing I think I respect most about Nick is that he knows who he hires. He really hires the right people for the job and then he trusts them. And I think that is across the board, creatives, but also the actors. And yeah, and then on top of that, he's an amazing director and he knows how to set scenes, like I just said, into a certain setting. Like I could say that to you now, Marry the Man Today. I've never seen it done like that. And so he creates a setting where all of a sudden the text gets lifted out of what it's been like before. So
Mm.
for me, it was kind of surreal as well because of his body of work and because of what he's done. He's not done very very many musicals,
Mm.
but he's a really, on top of being a great Shakespearean director, an incredible showman. So yeah, it was mad to work with him, but also very natural, and I'll never forget this for the rest of my life. A great experience.
Yeah, I mean, Bridge Theatre is also one of my favorite theatres as well. I love how flexible the space is. The foyer is beautiful, the staff are wonderful. Had you visited the venue before yourself, and were you familiar with the immersive productions too?
Well, I've known for a long time that I was going to do Sarah Brown. I've known for over a year.
Oh wow.
So I had never seen anything in the bridge. So I thought I might as well check this space out. So I saw, what was it, Straight Line Crazy with Ray Fiennes and Christmas Carol and South Bree Child with Alex Jennings, who's a dear friend of mine. All of them as if I went to different theaters. All
Mm.
of them were as if I went to a different theater, apart from the foyer. It was just different, the setup within the space. Yeah, I'm a huge fan now. I didn't even know it was there for a long time. And I think a lot of people will discover that space there now. And also, walking out of the theater, seeing Tower Bridge is magical. I mean, it's this the setting is unbelievable. So yeah, I'm a huge fan now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful space. I agree. I mean, you've gone to work with in so many of our lovely theatres, like the Barn in Cirencester, the Many a Chocolate Factory, and the Royal Albert Hall. Do you feel like audiences are different in different theatres, and is there anywhere else that you'd still like to work?
Well, you know what? Actually, yeah, I think when you do things like Phantom or Les Mis, it's all been open for a long time, so there's a lot of tourism that goes there as well. Whereas I feel like the Bridge at the moment, because it's just open, there's definitely a different audience there that's coming to see that show. So, I mean, both is amazing because both audiences love theater and want to appreciate it. But yeah, no, I've loved all of it. I think I've loved all the theaters. The big one for me was the Royal Albert Hall, of course. That was a big tick off the list. Um, but no, I think I'm just open to anywhere. I would just, you know what? Actually, that's not true. I'd love to do Sydney Opera House.
Oh, wow.
Sydney Opera House would be amazing, just because it's so iconic, but it's so far away.
That's the only thing. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
curious as well, about with this production of Guys and Dolls, it's a very immersive production. Did that aspect, seem daunting to you as well, or was that something that really attracted you to this version?
I think a bit of both. I think you have to be a little scared with everything you do, right? Because then it means that you're out of your comfort zone and you're pushing yourself. And we were really reinventing it together. It's not like it was already there and I had to step in or anything. So it felt like we were all together doing it. And because we felt so comfortable with Nick, with someone so great at the helm of the ship,
Mm.
you could relax into it. And even if I remember being like, can we really move the audience around like that easy? Will they just, because they would just talk about it, then the stage will come down and then we move the audience on top of that. And I was like, but what if they don't want to, you know? And then the first preview we did, actually, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing because people want to be involved and they really are involved. I mean, this is really immersive. We didn't know what show we had, or I didn't know what show we had until we had the audience in, because so much of my work is with the audience as well, flyering and everything. So yeah, no, it was daunting, but in the best way. It should be daunting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I first came to see you just under 10 years ago in Les Mis when you were making your West End debut. And, it's been so incredible, watching you, grow in your career, and you've worked pretty consistently since. Yeah, how would you describe, the last 10 years?
Oh my gosh. Actually, it was really interesting because we had like a really a big producer from Holland coming over who actually sent me an email when I left Holland, and it said something really kind, but really made me think like, okay, if I'm going to do this jump, if I'm going to work here, I really need to give it my all. But also, there's a huge amount of luck involved. I don't want to dismiss that, but also training and work and all that kind of stuff. So the last 10 years have just been, if I look back at it now, I go, oh, that's really awesome. I'm really proud of that. But when you're in it in the moment, you just take it step by step. It's like you never see yourself grow, and then all of a sudden you look at the line on the wall and you're like, oh my God, I've grown 3 inches or something like that. So, so now looking back, I'm really proud of it. But also, I'm excited about the future. I'm definitely not done, and I want to, make sure that I keep on having the career that I've had and developing. And I'm so lucky to do what I'm doing. And I felt that specifically now with Guys and Dolls, it feels like a full circle moment, being a Dutchie, wanting to work in London, thinking that's never going to happen. And then all of a sudden I'm walking back home over Tower Bridge every night. And I'm like, God, life is mad. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've gotten to play so many incredible roles, like Fantine, Christine, and you're also about to return to Lara in Doctor Zhivago. I was
Hmm.
there at Cadogan Hall back in 2019. How are you feeling about returning to that show as well, whilst also carrying on with Guys and Dolls?
You know what? That's going to be tough. That's going to be hard work. But I'm very excited because I mean, I love doing that concert. And I think because it was before pandemic as well, I think it means a lot to all of us to kind of come back. That's another thing, like having that hiatus of like, shows being pulled and that whole wild ride that we had during the pandemic. There's a lot of like gratefulness that I have now with just people being able to be in a space together, like on top of each other, and being able to do concerts and people to come and not being scared and enjoying. There's nothing quite like it. I mean, I don't have to tell you, like live theater is really amazing. It's not Netflix where you just switch off and you're really engaged and it's life changing and people touch you in ways and performances touch you in ways you should have seen that, and you said that is incredible. And I think to be able to revisit that role, I think it's going to be really special for us, for the whole team.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting as well. There doesn't seem to be as many new soprano roles being written in musical theatre today. What advice would
Oh.
you give to, a young actor, struggling to find roles that suit their voice?
Oh, that's always tough, isn't it? I would say always. I would say always expand in your career. Don't only do musicals.
Mm.
Also go for film. Also go for TV. There's always going to be a role that you can do, no matter what your voice type is. There's not very much soprano roles being written. Although I do have to say, I'm obsessed with Bridge of Madison County. I think that was a brilliantly written because it's has that legit, feel to it, but it also has country and it has. I'm very interested in like updating the classical sound a little bit,
Mm.
where you can drop it in your chest when you can go low, and it doesn't have to be raised, your palate doesn't have to be raised, or it can come out of the speaking. I'm very interested in that, and I think Jason Robert Brown did a great job there. And yeah, so I'm very I just think keep your career as wide as you can, do all the things, not just musicals, and there's always going to be a role that fits your voice type.
Yeah, I know you also recently got engaged to Richard Fleeshman, who's currently starring in Marjorie Prime at the Many a Chocolate Factory. Have you gotten to see him as well? And, are there any shows that you'd also like to go and see too?
No, I haven't been able to see him just yet. I'm going to see him this Sunday, finally. I've heard he's brilliant. I mean, I'm not surprised because he's so good. um, but yeah, it's really nice to be able to work together in the West. We've never actually had that we're both working in the West End at the same time. Also around London Bridge, which is amazing. So yeah, and he came to see the show the other day, and he was just, so happy. And life feels good at the moment, which is. I read this book, and I keep on saying this, from Matthew McConaughey. It's called Green Lights, and I read it twice now because I just think it's so clever. And he talks about when things are good, run, and that's what it feels like right now. Things are just seem to be in the right place. I'm sure we'll get it to Amber, and I'm sure we'll get to Red, but at the moment it feels green.
Amazing, yeah. Later this week as well, Arlene Phillips is also receiving the Special Recognition Award at the Olivier's. Yeah, what has it also been like, dancing her choreography and, working with her on Guys and Dolls too?
It's been really incredible because, of course, I mean, Marisha has way more dancing to do. I mean, she's literally Beyonce. She's doing all the dancing, all the singing. But my character, she's a little bit more awkward. She gets drunk. Actually, the fun of it was that I half of the time didn't learn the choreography because I shouldn't be very good at it, which was very helpful for me. But what I loved so much, and also James, who choreographed with her, that they made me feel like it was coming out of the acting.
Mm.
So it was more first a conversation about what do we want. For example, if I were Belle, what do we want to happen here? Then we had a conversation about it. We made the red lines, and then they, put their magical sauce over it, and they made it something that when I start that song, I don't feel like I'm dancing. So for me, that's really clever because then it comes from the story and all that. And but then of course I watch everyone dance unbelievably well. But for me personally, it was really great because it feels like storytelling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, are there any other musicals which you would like to see, get the immersive treatment too?
I mean, all of them, surely. You know what I mean? All of them. I just think we're all in need of a massive update when it comes to theater. Like, I think, reinvent a bit, make a change, like let people feel like they're part of the action. And it's fun as performance as well because when Andrew and I are singing our duet, I've never been in love before, people lean on the stage and they look at us like it's a tennis match. So they can, and I can see them in my view here on the side. I can see them looking, and they hold each other, and you feel like you're really like they're so close. Whereas when it's a normal stage, they feel so far away and it can sometimes feel like a black box. But this is just, they're here, they're part of it. And their reaction is really, you can really feel it. So, when you come and watch and you stand in the pit, just know that we hear and we see, the reaction. It feeds us, and that's really wonderful.
Yeah, it's such an incredible show. Yeah, what do you hope audiences will take away with them when they see Guys and Dolls?
Oh, I just hope that, and I've seen it happen. I just hope that they walk out with the biggest smile on their face. Isn't this a show that we all kind of needed after everything? Um, I've never, it's like a, what's it called? Dopamine hit. Like it's funny, it's heartbreaking, it really gives you, power at the end of it. You're like, woo, everyone walks out. It's a real experience. If you come and see, if you want an experience, like that is, and from the moment you walk in, it's everyone, it's the ushers, it's everyone working front of house, like everyone is so wonderful. And yeah, if, and I've said this before, if this would have been a show that I really wanted to see, and I'm so glad I'm in it.
Yeah, it's interesting as well, looking over your career, you've not done, loads of shows, from that golden age of Broadway period. Is this something that you'd like to explore more of as well going forwards?
Yeah, I think also it's all about timing, isn't it? It's about when things come up and what kind of things come up, who is thinking of you when certain shows are happening. I love that era. I love how how the songs are written. I love the style of it. I think it's very always. We have a big band as well. We have a big like a I think it's 16 people we have in the as an orchestra, which I think works so well for these kind of shows. So yeah, it's not really come on my path that much, but I was also in long contracts a lot of the time. So yeah, I'm hopefully something else will pop up and I can keep on going this way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, it's been so lovely talking to you. Just as a last question, what
Yeah.
would you say is the best part about being Celinde Schoenmaker?
The best part about, oh gosh, I don't know. What is the best part of being me? I don't know. I think that I really genuinely care about people, and they really affect me. And I love to see audience members' reaction after a show, and I love interacting with them. And I think that's part of, maybe I should just say the job. That's part of the best part of the job for me personally. And this is the best part, like being able to do the show and being really aware of what a special moment in time this is for all of us.
Mm,
You know, I'm
yeah,
very grateful.
definitely. Celinde, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, you thank you so much for having me.